Well, this expiry will be marked by the Nifty hitting lifetime highs. However, when it comes to the closing, we have seen a rather subdued one. Hello and welcome. Nickey and I here to wrap the markets for you today. Nickey, on the whole, with respect to the kind of moves we've seen, it's been relatively range bound and unlike, very uncharacteristic of an expiry.
Yeah, so snapping 3-day of winning streak, we saw Nifty actually ending low. It's the dying hour pressure, the selling pressure which came in the dying hours of the trade, which dragged the Nifty lower below that 9,350 mark, was what weighed on the market and weighed on the sentiment, and this led to a down session of trade today. What looked like a positive session of trade turned out to be a disappointing one. Just looking at the chart, we would see throughout in the session of trade that we can see Nifty kept on hanging in between red and green, and by the end of the day, in the dying hours of the trade, we saw Nifty finally surrendering to pressure and ending up below that 9,350 mark with losses of around 0.1%. Having said that, since in the Nifty, in the FNO expiry session of trade where we saw Nifty scaling in record high level, Agam, are we en route to 9,500, 9,600 levels?
Well, so analysts are of the opinion, and I spoke to one of them, Miraj Vora of Prabhudas Iladar, that he expects the Nifty to hit 9,500 very soon. However, there is a lot of resistance in the 9,400 level. Also, do remember that the India Volatility Index is at record low levels. But with respect to the kind of rollovers that we've seen, they're also lower than the previous 3-month average that we've seen. We'll be waiting for the final numbers which will come in the power copy. Let's take a look at what's happened in the options market today. We have seen in unwinding in the 9,300 call, considering the fact that we saw the Nifty move around that level, and similarly more writing in the 9,300 put. When it comes to maximum open interest now, it is between 9,400 call and the 9,300 put, a 100-point range. This of course will eventually change as we move into the next few sessions. But on the whole, it's been a relatively stable series, considering the fact that we've seen gains on the Nifty. But before I move on to the gainers, it's been an earnings heavy day. Starting out with Kotak Mahindra Bank, we're looking at stable set of numbers out there.
Rightly put, stable set of numbers that we saw for Kotak Mahindra Bank, which was also one of the top gainers on the Nifty index that we witnessed today. Also, Kotak Mahindra Bank PAT was pretty much in line with estimates. It reported a 40% growth YOY. NII went up 16.4%. However, there was a bit of disappointment, not a disappointment, asset quality weakened to an extent. It increased to 2.59. The gross NPA increased to 2.59 as compared to 2.42% earlier. Also, we saw some numbers coming in from Maruti Suzuki. Raw material costs would mainly ate into the margins of Maruti Suzuki, led to the disappointment for the stock Agam.
Sure. So, well, both Maruti Suzuki and TVS Motor Company, the common factor in both these was the margins depreciation on account of increase in raw materials. Starting off with Maruti Suzuki, looking at a 20% increase as far as revenues are concerned, but that is on account of the spectacular sales that its new models like Baleno and Brezza have seen. But we have also seen a depreciation when it comes to its margins, down by as much as 120 basis points, and because of that, profits are more or less in line with street expectations, moving up as much as 15.9%. Moving on to TVS Motor Company, subdued 1.6% revenue growth, margins declining by 50 basis points to 7.2%, and 6.8% decline as far as the net profitability goes. So on the whole, not a very good quarter for TVS Motor Company. Maruti, however, delivering on the top line at least. So a mixed set of numbers, I would say. But other than that, what are the other gainers that we've seen in today's day of trade? I think Yes Bank was one of the biggest gainers today.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, Kotak Mahindra Bank was one of the top gainers that we just saw after the results, stable set of earnings. Looking into the other top gainers for Nifty index, we had Yes Bank topping the list and ending the day with gains of around 3.8%. Indian Oil Corporation too ended the day with gains of around 2%. Now the cement stocks, that is the ACC and Ambuja Cement, also ended the day with gains of around 1 to 2% each. Now it remains to be seen if we would actually see in a surprise coming in from Ambuja Cement after Ultratech and ACC also managed to surprise the street on the upsides. So we have Ambuja Cement's number coming in tomorrow, and it'll pretty much be noted how these numbers fare by the close of the trade tomorrow. On the losing side, we have Aurobindo Pharma and Lupin, that is the pharmaceutical stocks, which have really ended the day with losses of around 2.5%. Then we have Axis Bank. Here we saw some asset quality concerns, though. We saw some slippages continuing to come in from a watch list of loans that the banks expect could turn bad. Also, we had ITC, which ended the day with losses of around 1.75%. That said, on the larger cap stocks that we're talking about, how was the action in broader space? Agam?
Well, a continuation of the trend that's been building over the past few days. We have seen more losers as compared to gainers when it comes to the broader markets. Starting off with the Nifty 500, we're looking at just about 3 gainers for 4 losers, but I am going to start off with the losers, and Shilpi Cable Technologies is one of the biggest declines that we've seen today, down as much as 20%. That's followed by Lakshmi Vilas Bank. Of course, we've seen earnings there. That's down by as much as nearly 8%. 8K Miles Software, Gayatri Projects, Sterlite Technologies, as well as Astral Polytechnic, all losing anywhere between 3.5% to 5.5%. With respect to gainers, we have Bank of India gaining as much as 9%. Aarti Industries also up 7.3%, followed by Network 18 Media, Uflex JBF Industries and Mangalore Refineries, all gaining well over 5% in today's day of trade. So on the whole, momentum continues to be with the gainers. But considering we have seen the market breadth, which isn't really favorable towards the advanced stocks, well, we just have to wait and watch as to how Qs develop. But I think we have a viewer question for now, and this comes from Harsh. And what's the call on DMart? Well, Harsh, we are not allowed to give calls on DMart, but I can tell you that analysts are now looking at DMart probably consolidating going forward, considering the kind of levels it is trading at. So if you're already invested in it, analysts will suggest that you either keep it for the really long term, or if you have a short term horizon, in that case you at least book some profits. But with that is all that we have with respect to what's going on today. Of course, we will have more earnings tomorrow, so stay tuned in a BloombergQuint, and we'll see you tomorrow.